just a little background on myself. I'm Garrett Duncan. I was a software engineer at Codefi. I've recently kind of moved into AI automation engineer, which still leans in on a bunch of my background. And we help enable and kind of provide AI training and AI automations and solutions and dev solutions and founder support across our company. And this is just one of those avenues. And so hopefully you guys get a good experience of some of those offerings kind of all tied together. So to make sense of where these three ladies are now and where they started, we're going to kind of rewind the clock and hear about what they were doing before, their jobs, their routines, their relationship with technology, and kind of what shaped how each of them decided to come into this class. So none of them came into Prompt to Solution as developers. None of them had built software before, maybe Charity a little bit, but for the most part, it's a new thing to them. So what they have in common is they all had an idea, they showed up, and they built. So we're going to walk through how that happened, starting with where they were before any of this began. So Jessica, if you don't mind, let's start with you. Please share a little bit about your professional life and tech experience prior to Prompt to Solution.
Absolutely. So I have worked in healthcare mostly, but I've had some fun jobs prior to establishing my career in healthcare. I currently have a bachelor's degree in music from Biola University and eventually obtained a master's of science degree in healthcare administration from California State University, Bakersfield. I'm also Lean Six Sigma Black and Green Belt certified. So I love working on problems and making processes more efficient and reducing waste. I worked in the OR in the surgical services, and then I transitioned into tech. I started working with physicians and providers in the tech space, almost like a tech support. It was a physician support coordinator position. And then I moved into leadership roles on the clinical application side. So if you go to a hospital, the doctor, the nurses are charting that electronic health record. There's entire teams built around supporting that. Building the templates that they're needing. And so that's where I'm coming from. And currently, my full-time job, I'm in identity and access management side. So we are on the cybersecurity side. If you're hired on, whether you're a volunteer, every role, whether volunteer, employee, student, has a specific access, and it must be appropriate. So that's where I'm at currently. Although I have had over 9 years of working in healthcare IT, I did not have any experience in application development or coding. It's been mostly in leadership positions and clinical application side and also integrations. In my current state right now, in my leadership role, I actually do manage an automation task force team. We are leveraging UiPath Academy for robotic processing automation. But my specialty has always been solving problems with creative solutions. And that is the gist of it. I did not have any coding experience, but this was an exciting exercise. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And Charity, if you'd like to follow up kind of again, just to reiterate the question, just a little bit about your professional life and tech experience prior to Prompt to Solution.
Prior to Prompt to Solution, I was part of multiple organizations and worked as a product manager and a business analyst in insurance, and then also now in retail. I own my own software company. I do some, I call it dangerous development. That's what they usually call me. The kind of person that can come in and make some changes, but you kind of want to come back behind her. And fix it. So that's probably been most of my background. I do a lot of business configuration and I spend a whole lot of time with small and mid-sized businesses, really identifying their needs and then figuring out what it is that they're trying to accomplish and then using technology and configuring that technology to work with their particular solutions.
Perfect. Thank you, Charity. And then Sean, if you're ready to share a little bit about your professional life and tech experience prior. Sean, you might need to unmute your mic. Sorry. You're good.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah,
I
you're
can't
good.
hear you.
Yes.
Okay, now, all right. I said my only experience in tech any tech background has been that I've worked in HR and operations for the last 40 years. So I've worked on a computer every day of my life. So that's been my day job, but my love and my passion has been music. And so I saw a lot of problems there, and that's where my interest with this prompt to solution through Codefi kept nagging at me. So I was very curious and wanted to join that program and see what I could do with it.
Perfect. Well, thank you for sharing that, Sean. And so now that you guys all kind of know a little bit about their backgrounds and how different they are, and from all of those choices, they all kind of decided to take the swing at building something and maybe using this course to do that. What happens next for them was the class. So before building comes the planning, and I want to get into what that process actually felt like for them. So to lead us off, Jessica, tell us about your experience of your planning process with building your application, your struggles, and your experience in the first few classes and how that went for you.
Yeah, so to begin with, knowing I enrolled in this course, I knew I needed to have a deliverable. At the end of the course, I needed to have something. So I first started off with one particular idea, and then I realized I'm not an expert in that field or industry at all. I think I can solve a particular pain point, but I just need to know, I just need to work on something that I am familiar with, that I can probably do. And so the idea came locally. I'm in Southwest Missouri, and I have some chickens, and I sell some eggs locally. They are organic, non-GMO, pasture raised. And so I figured, let me just start small. So I spent a few weeks and long hours just developing the idea for the app that I have. I leveraged ChatGPT to help me design the blueprint. I was basically, it was using Chat as my research assistant. I was on the free version of ChatGPT, so I had to stop when the free limit was reached. But I'm thankful that I was forced to step away, because otherwise I spent all day, every day on ChatGPT just building my idea. It was in those moments of pause that I continued to think and map out exactly what I wanted. Like new ideas popped into my head that I hadn't considered, or a more efficient way of doing something or designing it popped into my head. So it was in those moments of just stepping away and not just throwing myself all in that forced me to just keep thinking, regurgitating, and developing something that went from just, let me try to build an app that will help me sell eggs locally, to an online marketplace platform that could literally change, how farmers can get to direct access to consumers. So I used ChatGPT to bounce ideas off first. Then in Codefi's course, it helped to structure the plan and ensure that our prompts were detailed. The courses were super easy to understand. Garrett brought in live examples. The collaboration between colleagues in the course was fantastic. We learned a lot of things from Garrett and the course that he led, to include even questions when we're prompting and designing that I never even considered sometimes, and the important ones like security and making sure that we're building in the security on the part of the infrastructure. And he was able to create a template that we were able to, like a checklist, to make sure that every step of the way it was meeting, those minimum expectations. And that's what I've got so far. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jessica. And that's definitely one of the goals of the class, was to fill in the gaps that people might struggle with not having a technical background sometimes. So thanks for sharing that. And then Charity, tell us about your planning process and building your application. Kind of walk us through that experience of the first classes for you and kind of how that
Okay,
planning
so
was.
prompt to product for me was like freedom. So I'm just going to come from that business analyst perspective, where a lot of the times I'm working with the business, and then turn around and I work with the technology. So I had this idea for what I wanted, and the technology team was telling me this is a 3 to 5 year project with a team of about 5 people, probably several $1 million. And so to even find out if this was going to be effective and work, it was going to be extremely expensive. And so the market that we target, it's going to take a long time to recover that. So for me, when I walked into prompt to product and I saw that I could produce a working functional product and explore a lot of those ideas with our users, I can't really describe how free I felt. And also, I probably should speak on behalf of my engineers who were super excited about me not jerking them around so much. So, and I think, using the Foundry app saved a whole lot of time and energy. And so, really, honestly, going through that whole process of just understanding how to prompt within the tool and then
Yes,
also the
you
business
can look like
background.
that too. Okay. You can lift up the
Sorry.
tarp, so I have to go. I
Sorry, I'll get that for you. There you go. Sorry, Charity.
No, that's okay. I was really wrapped up. So I just kind of wanted to say, hey, if you're thinking about it, I really think if you're somebody who works a lot with business users and you think you have a really good idea, this is the fastest and easiest way to get that validated.
Okay. Thank you. Very good information. Appreciate that. Thanks for shouting out the Foundry. If anybody's going to be here tomorrow, you may see a little bit about that in the intro to vibe coding experience. And then let's continue on and to Sean and kind of tell us about your planning process with your building your application and walk us through that experience of the first few classes.
So my path was just a little bit different because, like I said earlier, music has been a passion of mine for a long time. So for the last 10 years, I've been working with independent artists hosting house concerts, helping, I have agents and artists contact me weekly looking for shows. Hey, I have an artist traveling through Cape Girardeau. He's starting in Lexington. He's going to Denver. Can you help get a show in maybe Paducah, Cape Girardeau, Springfield, wherever? Can you help us in the Midwest? So, I'm trying to work my day job, and I had taken a little break because I had to have a hip replacement. And so they continued to call me, and I kept thinking there has to be an easier way. There has to be an easier way. And then I thought, duh, I have Codefi right here in town. Why don't I reach out? And so I did reach out, and it was just in time to start the Traction Studio class, which was amazing. If any of you have not done that, I recommend that you do it because you can put your product in there and just kind of go through the different phases to see if it's validated and if you should move forward and whatever. So went through that whole process. It worked. And so then I started the prompt to solution class with Codefi. And it was tough for me because I was leaving for a 28-day vacation overseas, and I was trying to take class in the middle of the night, stay up with class, and then also go back to the recordings and stay caught up. But it was a lifesaver for me to do it all that way because I could go back, and I was a little messed up as to where I was in class, but I got through it, created the product, and I'm looking forward to where we can, keep moving forward with this and see how it does. But the prompt to solution class was a lifesaver for me because there's no way I could have ever done this because I have, like I said, no coding experience or anything like that at all. So it was fantastic. I would have never considered doing it.
Yeah, and I think it opens some interesting doors, as I'm sure you guys have all experienced. But now you guys kind of have the background of these three ladies, and then you have kind of their planning process and their experience, which to me so far it sounds pretty good. They weren't scripted to say any of this stuff. This is all from their own opinions. So just keep an open mind that it can enable people to do things that they either didn't have the time to, they didn't have the money to, or they didn't have the capacity to prior to this. So just keep that door open to being able to build something. So everything we just talked about with the planning, the prompting, the design system, all of it was to service one thing, which was shipping a real product. So let's see them. I want each of you to kind of walk us through what you actually built in the class and kind of who it's for. Have you kept working on it? And then I want you three to kind of share your screens and show off your applications, kind of the MVP at the least. So if you're good to start us off, Jessica, kind of tell us about your application. What problem are you solving? Who is it for?
Absolutely.
And then Jessica and Charity can follow up. Or sorry, Charity and Sean
Sure.
can follow up.
On the Zoom, you've got a little hand here. So if you have ever wondered, where can I get farm fresh eggs? Or where can I get some raw milk or goat milk? Or where in my area can I find grass-fed beef directly from a local farmer? Surely there's got to be a farmer around me somewhere where I can find directly from them, or heritage chickens. Have any of you ever asked that question around you? Now, depending on where you're located in Missouri, that you could probably find that somewhere other than, the grocery store. In Southwest Missouri, Stone County, where I'm located, you'd be hard pressed to be able to make that connection anywhere. I was meeting with the Missouri University Extension for an event that they held in Cassville. A farmer who actually has her own land and sells products. It took her 3 years just to find raw milk to buy from. For me personally, I couldn't find any raw milk either or goat milk. It was by word of mouth. A friend told me where she gets her milk from. And then, the issue here is if you're trying to look for direct food from a producer, from a farmer, you would have to either find somehow you go to Facebook, search Facebook Marketplace, if that, or just ask around. Every single week, I see in Facebook groups in the surrounding counties questions like, where can I get goat milk from? Who can I buy farm fresh eggs from? Sometimes it's just, down the street from your neighbor. Other times it's, what about organic, pasture raised, no corn or no soy? And also personally for me, I'm very particular. I love sourdough bread, but the real kind, not from a store. And personally, I only buy from direct people who make the sourdough bread with the simplest ingredients. I can't even really find that anywhere near me. I have to go to Branson to one of the health food stores just to be able to buy some sourdough bread. Or I attend seasonal farmers markets to just find some bread and then I'll actually stock up. I buy like 3 or 4 loaves, stick them in the deep freezer, and then eat those along the way. So that's the problem, is discovery. So now I'm going to share my screen here and allow Zoom to share it. And I've created eggdrop.farm. Right now, this is a live product. This course has gone from just an idea. Originally, I wanted to upskill myself. I know I work in technology, I'm in a leadership position, but modern technology and AI is coming. And so I have to adapt and learn new skills. So what started off as a just professional development opportunity for my personal self into now I'm starting a business. I'm starting a business, a tech startup business, and this is called eggdrop.farm. So we are live and launching, and I'm on the vendor onboarding section. So I had my agent create a landing page for vendors to be able to sign up right here, created a video that explains what our product is, and then a vendor can join. I've got, so let me take you here. We've got the egg basket shop, and the vision is wherever I'm standing, wherever I'm at, if I just simply search my location right here, use my location, I would want for every single vendor that is enrolled in Eggdrop to be able to pop up using the location within 20 miles of my radius. Or if I were to enter a zip code, I would want it to show me all of the producers within 20-mile radius of the zip code. So I think yeah, here we go. These products that you're seeing right now, let me see if I can minimize this, are actual real products. These are real vendors who have joined eggdrop.farm. We've got real ground beef. We've got a farmer that sells bacon. We've got bratwurst. We've got chicken eggs in different locations of Southwest Missouri. We've got farm fresh eggs. We've got duck eggs. We've got tiger's milk mushroom tinctures. We've got beef, roast, grass-fed roasts. And the vision is more. We need more producers. We need more product in here. And the cool thing is that I've already connected this to Stripe. So if you are a consumer and you want to buy, you're able to hover. You can click buy now or add to cart. Every little click, every little feature, I've had to think out and click and make sure that everything is working. And so then I go back to my Replit agent and tell it, hey, this isn't clickable, or if I click or hover, it's not taking an action. Can you fix it and review it?
Sorry about that. I'm gonna mute all and then unmute yourself, Jessica.
All right. So the cool thing with AI is it can fix itself. It can look for things and it can fix itself. So this is pretty cool. So let me see if I can try to using my location. I think there might be a pop-up here that is probably preventing me, but anyway, so this will look up my location. This will also, if you open it up from your phone, will prompt you to do an install. So this is also available as a mobile app, except I haven't gone through the Google Play Store or iOS. That's going to be secondary, but it will prompt you to install it on your phone. And what will that will do is if you're a vendor, a producer, and you've got orders, it'll give you push notifications, it'll send reminders, and if you join from the mobile app device, then you'll be able to take pictures or upload photos right from here. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. And I'm going to show you the vendor account here. Hold on. Well, that's live demos. I've never gotten this error before. Here, let me try.
It happens.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. Okay. So I've got a vendor hub. And if I were to turn on my demo mode here, I built a dashboard for the vendors, vendor hub plus tools. The cool thing about here, if you click the little hamburger, is that there is, we've got, oh my gosh, there's so much to show you here. For the vendors, we have different tiers. So if you click on become a vendor, you've got the free tier, which means all of these vendors have signed up to AgDrop to be able to sell their products directly to the consumers free. Their first 5 uploads are free and their first 3 transactions are free. And then after that, it's just a percentage of the transaction. If they wanted to unlock other features that I've added here, like subscription management, weekly drop scheduling, I've even got an AI assistant called Clucky. That's our mascot. This is one business aspect of how can I make this a legitimate business? So we've got, it's not a membership because I hate memberships, but it is a subscription for the vendors to be able to unlock more administrative assistant tools for those individual vendors. So there's different tiers, and depending on the tier that you're on, it will unlock optional and different tools on the back end. So let me give you come over here to the vendor dashboard. Here we've got a total number of orders, revenue. I've got operational tools right here. So in the operational tools, there's a built-in calendar that I've provided. It's going to send reminders if they've installed the app on their phone. So it'll send them reminders. Here's production notes also with available reminders. This is just in case somebody needs to make a note. I've even included a 10-day forecast because for farmers and producers who depend on the weather and agriculture, that's pretty important. So we've got a built-in 10-day forecast, a quick calculator in case they're in the app and they need to do a little bit of math. We've got an ingredients cost estimator. So as they upload products, there is an AI tool in here that will automatically calculate and forecast how much something could cost them. And leveraging AI tools within my own app, there's going to be AI demand insights. So it will give them suggestions like Mondays are the heaviest days, or prepare for the next subscription flow. Make sure you have X amount of product available. So we've got advanced analytics, and this is just for the vendor side. Even calendar synchronization. So if you're using Google Calendar, Microsoft Outlook Calendar, it can integrate into AgDrop to make the administrative process for a vendor much easier. And I'm not just tackling big farms, I'm tackling the cottage food individuals, those who sell from home, those who don't have a retail business license, but you can sell directly to them. AgDrop doesn't handle the shipping, the delivery. We don't do any of that. We provide a discovery platform, and then they can choose how to set up a drop. So from the vendor perspective, if I wanted to add a product, I can click add product. I can add the product here, whatever that would be. Eggs, I can select the category of the product, whether it's dairy, cheese, artisan bread, fresh produce. Here's a description. Ingredients, cottage food law. So if you're baking banana pie and you want to sell whole banana pies, you would list out the ingredients. So you would say cream, and then you would tag it to add it. And if you notice, I have a built-in Clucky AI assistant agent that is going to be analyzing the ingredients and indicate whether or not I'm adding it right here. Cream, let's see, banana, fruit. So this is going to be on the fruit section here. So I've got a picker, fruit here, like fruits and vegetables. Or nuts and seeds. Let's say I'm adding walnuts. So here's the ingredient picker. So I'm about to list one product on my site as a vendor. And if it includes cream, walnuts, here's Clucky, the AI assistant here. Basically, it's an allergen assistant because sometimes you don't really know what allergies are out there. Maybe you didn't cross your mind that this is gluten-free or even for alpha-gal. But AI Clucky will alert and say, hey, I found 2 allergen concerns in your ingredients. I'm suggesting 4 safe tags that apply to your product. It's going to say, hey, this contains dairy, which is not alpha-gal safe for some patients, and this contains tree nuts, so it's not nut allergy free. And then it will suggest the safe allergy tags to apply so I can easily apply the tags to the product that I'm building out here. Now, the cool thing here too is there's a cottage food disclaimer. So if you are under cottage food laws, which means you don't have a business license, you're selling directly from your home or from your personal property and you're just meeting with them, there is a cottage food disclaimer that will appear. So if you are a cottage food vendor, just click that, add the ingredients, and you should be covered. You can include the price, the stock quality, and then if you are a big producer farm or a beef farm or you sell chickens, you can actually sell wholesale pricing to restaurants and chefs if you wanted to. And the cool thing about this is that there is there should be down here a USDA certified product tag. So if you are a USDA certified farmer and you sell grass-fed beef and you want restaurants, mini restaurants, taverns to find you to be able to sell their burgers, you can simply open up, click that USDA certified product, and then you'll be able to choose from the selection. Here's the meat, where it's your establishment number, whether it's graded or not graded. You can mark it as USDA organic seal and product of the US. Then you can make your product active. You can even enable subscriptions. So every vendor will, if you sign up for the subscription, you can take subscriptions directly from consumers. So if I wanted to buy a monthly subscription to someone's sourdough bread, I can sign up with their subscriptions. And the cool thing about that is if they do, that is called the Hen House Pass. The Hen House Pass is a subscription plan and you build it. So you're not paying for a membership that you're not using. It's so here, for example, here's a real life farm. If somebody wanted to subscribe to them for grass-fed roast beefs on a monthly basis, they could do that on a monthly, bi-weekly, or weekly scale. So this is really, really cool. And then if you do join, we have what's called egg credits. This is gamification is what I had in mind. So you want to have people come back to your application, right? You need to give rewards. You need to gamify it to encourage people to come back. And so those who do join the app, the consumers, you earn egg credits. Egg credits are real redeemable rewards that you earn. And I've actually linked in Shopify in here so that if you earn a level of credits, you hatch rewards and they have an equivalent of an egg drop. This is part of the marketing, a cap or a shopping bag or one of these. This literally, you'll be able to redeem it. It'll take you to the Shopify and it's printing on demand. So I don't have an inventory. I'm not shipping it and mailing it. I've used an API to connect to Shopify for printing on demand that when it gets redeemed, it goes directly to the Shopify and they'll do the printing once it's redeemed and then it'll go and be mailed to the individual. So this is pretty cool. So you see how like the ideas can develop as you get more and more creative. There's also referral bonuses. And so I've enabled
And then
links.
Jessica, just if there was anything else like major you wanted to showcase, I wanted to ask
Sure.
you just like a couple questions just for everybody, like that's kind of off cuff. Like, when you were thinking about all of these ideas, was there anything that just kind of struck you as time goes on, or did you do it with the LLM later on, like that planning process, or did you kind of come up with these ideas just on your own, just kind of thinking day by day, or did you notice things? How did you keep brainstorming new ideas? it feels like you could create anything you want. It seems
Yeah.
like you have like a lot of different external tools attached. So that's kind of my question.
Yeah.
What was the biggest inspiration for the extra ideas?
It was seeing a need, especially with the USDA. I've recently learned because I have a friend who has a bar tavern, and he said literally over the weekend, he's like, I can't find USDA certified, like really good burgers, ground beef burgers. I don't want to serve something from, a grocery store or something cheap. I'm looking for good quality. And the only place I'd have to go to is drive all the way to Seymour. And even in that aspect, the logistics of getting actual USDA certified beef to and from a farmer and a distributor or restaurant is a bit of a challenge in and of itself with logistics, at least for the smaller communities. And so it was wow, like with needing USDA certification, they need to be discovered. He's like, I don't know any butchers around here. And so, for example, that was one of the things that I added most recently was the USDA tagging, because there are restaurants and food people, hospitals and schools want to buy local, but
So you got some of those like user
exactly.
experiences and kind of what they needed, which I think, being enabled for these tools through this class and just vibe coding in general, and then being able to apply that, I feel like the sky's the limit, which is what is kind of opening the door. You just have to go out there and kind of source the information. But just to, was there any other major thing you wanted to share before we move on? Because I do have to go to the next person.
Yeah, the only other cool thing was I was able to have it build an admin dashboard or an executive dashboard for me as like the platform owner. And so this is like real, it's just being able to give me all of the data that I need and just being able to go back to the agent and build, transactions, subscriptions, consumers. I can make announcements, socials. I can set promo codes, allow the vendors to set promo codes. And even with live listings, I've noticed that when a vendor did join and they uploaded a product, they didn't add photos to their products. And I don't really want people to visit our website and not have a photo of a product, right? So I linked an API to an application called or site called Pexels, where now I can add a temporary stock photo leveraging the AI. So I can apply a product photo to a particular product and it's a temporary placeholder, and Clucky, our AI assistant, will notify the vendor, hey, here's a gentle nudge. Still need to upload a photo, but here's a temporary one in place. So there's a lot of exciting things, and it's just I hope that this inspires you all because you can make it happen.
Very cool. Thank you. Um, let's go into the next person, and just to kind of re-clarify the original question for you guys, you're just going to tell us about your application, Charity, and then kind of what problem you were solving and who it was for, and if you want to throw in pain points or other things outside of that, that's completely fine. You may have to unmute, Charity.
Having audio problems. Okay, so just a quick question for you. Do you want me to use the one from Bus Buddy, or do you want me to use the one that we built in the class?
Oh, whichever one works for me, because
We're going to use the one we built in the class, because I think it's a really good example of a lot of things. So when we started as Deepwater, what we were looking to do was actually integrate with Square. So Deepwater software has an invoice processing capability, which allows you to receive invoices from your vendors and update your Square with what you have. So if you're not familiar with retail, essentially when you walk into a retail store, you've got stuff that you purchase. Well, in order for them to scan that barcode, they have to put that in there. So it is, as you can tell, a pretty massive data exercise that we find ridiculous. There's no reason why I should have to know the SKU for a Snicker bar. So our application will let you upload invoices. And so the way that it works, you can just send us a digital invoice, or you can actually scan it with a scanner that we have, like a document scanner. But we're just going to send one. Uh, and let's see, we're submitting for the 5th. And we're going to drop that in there and send it. And that's going to go to a third-party service. This third-party service existed before we started this prompt to product and we are just using it. This is not something that has a published API, but we were able to get the tooling to use it. And I think that's probably one of the coolest things. So, one, we were able to connect the square and put that thing in. And if you've ever done anything detailed within development, you're going to notice that we have seed capabilities and all that stuff that we were able to build in this process to test what it is that we're doing. The Square connection comes in, it brings in my products and my prices. And then in the invoice section, Deepwater is going to do its job. And you're going to see my Bell Advanced Beverage showing up in here. And that is the actual invoice. We're going to load that up, take a look at it. And the thing I want to point out are a couple of things. There's no UPC barcodes, and these descriptions are a little bit wonky. So, and that's really what we're building on our piece. So we are bringing this data in from Deepwater, and we want to be able to import it in without touching it. That's the end goal. So let's just open that up really quick, and we're going to take a look at something really simple like this Arizona green tea. And over here, you're going to see the green tea here, and we have 48 of those. And according to our invoice, we need to bring in not one of these, but we actually need to bring in 24 because that's what's necessary. And so that's what's actually going to happen when we click the import button. That's just going to bring everything on in. It's going to clear everything through Square, and it's going to update my inventory with new counts. And that's what we built in roughly 24 hours, maybe less, are those pieces. Our second reason for getting involved in this process is if you've ever worked with a small retailer, they really, really, really hate inventory and they don't want to do it. And so our actual goal was to get this stuff imported and then come in here and kind of take a look at what can we give the store owner that will make them want to start counting things and pay attention to those things. And the reason that matters is that if you're a small retailer right now, the industry is really changing. And if you're unable to tell, like the USDA, that you have things like lettuce, or in the case we saw before, eggs, or anything that could potentially have issues with getting out into diseased areas or recalls, you're going to have to start being able to proof step those documents. There's a lot of laws coming down. And so we're trying to get these small store owners into this. And so we ended up building quite a bit of extra things in here just to see if we could find some features that would incentivize them to start doing this process. And it's a great story. I could tell a whole lot more about. But for example, we added some margin leak indicators, which just tell us, hey, we're short. And by the way, you brought that invoice in and you're losing money. With that invoice, you have a price of 1088 and its cost is 440, and we're going to tell you right now. And then what we built was the ability to just clean those things up and to resync them and to set them up so that I can quickly and rapidly make the pricing changes that I need in order to get that done. So we also are tracking as we tell them what's going on so that they know how much money they're saving when they use us. They know their retail profit. We're going through and saying, hey, here's what's lost, and here's what you made. And it's more than just the profit and loss. We're actually saying, hey, you have profit and loss. And by the way, you really should account for the fact that you're going to have to replace this inventory. So stop taking cash out of your bank account. You need to replace your inventory. It's important. So these margin link inventory, these underpriced items, there's some really interesting things we're doing here with resetting these items based on margin, rounding to the nearest nine, and then saving those changes. Getting items into their price book. So for example, missing price book items here that we can come in and do, and there are third-party services that are pre-filling a lot of this data for them so they don't have to know it, and adding it in. But we're also doing things like I don't know what my price for my bubblers is supposed to be. So it's okay for me to do a search of my inventory and say, oh, that's really supposed to be $1.49. I need to change that up so that I'm charging the same amount. And so we added a lot of pricing tools. We added a lot of features. And I want to say all of that to say I did a whole lot of work and I put it in front of my users and I got a eh. So, and I think that's what is really important about getting it in front of your users early. We did a lot of effort, and as soon as I got it into them, the first thing that they said was, "That is way too much. I don't want that much." And so we actually revamped and we have redone our UI multiple times since this process occurred for this purpose. And I could have never done this without the prompt to product and without the ability to change this rapidly in AI and to clean it up and fix it. And so getting it in front of your users, getting your users the chance to feedback and say, hey, this is too much or not enough. We've gone through multiple iterations and there's a third iteration coming that's got even more stuff in it. And it's completely different from what this one is. And so I'm very excited as a product owner. We're using this across multiple industries now. I'm in with Bus Buddy for our rural applications, our rural schools. We built a routing software for our rural schools. We're doing some things in insurance. All in all, we have learned a lot out of prompt to product, and I'm moving a lot of product through a lot of times focused on the small and mid-sized businesses and getting them kind of interconnected with the rest of the industry and using tools that actually match the way they work. And that is what has been really nice about using AI in this process.
Very cool, Charity. Very cool. Thank you for sharing that. One thing she said to me that maybe got glazed over in your all's heads, but just getting it in front of users a couple years ago was difficult. There was a huge cost associated with that. You had to trust a team and you'd have to have an idea. And if you get that idea in front of them, you have that team and that huge cost and you get the product there. And then they say what they said to Charity's first iteration, where they like some of it, but they're like, eh. I think that's a good reason to understand how valuable this technology is because you can get these ideas out there. And then if you get that feedback, you're not $30,000 down the hole, you're a couple $100 down the hole potentially. And then you can pivot and then address those things. And then you can actually showcase the next one or the third one, like Charity said. And you're not years or thousands of dollars down the drain. So the opportunity is pretty exciting. So thank you for sharing that. And then next up, we have Sean, if you would be so happy or so kind as to share your screen and then just tell us about your application and what problem you're solving and who it's for. You might have to unmute yourself again.
I've worked with independent artists and I have sat down with them to try to help them plan tours, and they use, Google Maps and spreadsheets and their cell phone, and they're calling, all of this and all these different applications and trying to plan this and pulling up their spreadsheets, going back to Google Maps, but this has everything in one application. So, like I said, here's the landing page, but here's the big thing is the map. You can see everything. Oh, let me pull this up here. It's not letting me pull it up. Anyway, so the first thing, the artist goes to, they can build their tour. And so when you build your tour, you put in your starting location and your ending location, and maybe you have a couple other dates along a 10-day window. So you drop in all those anchor shows, and then it starts showing you along the route all these suggested stops in these cities along your route, your best locations. And it also gives you a map that you can drill down and you can zoom in, and it starts populating different types of venues for you to look at. Bars, house concerts, listening rooms, the non-traditional venues. We're still drilling that down to make that work exactly the way I want it to work. But I'm also creating an Airtable, and I have like 1,500 house concert venues across the nation that I'm manually entering because I don't want to scrape someone's website or try, I don't want to do anything I shouldn't be doing. So I'm entering all of those manually because those are the ones that the artists really like to see. And so you can, this also, when you go into the command center, you can see, it'll give you suggested cities. You can book that day and fill that information in, like if you want to, let me go back to the, so I had built out just a little route from Cape Girardeau to Mobile, Alabama. That's what I was saying earlier. So it gives you all these cities. It shows you all of this along the way. And when you go to your,
You've done a lot of changes since I last saw it. It looks nice.
I made a change to this right. Thank you. I made a change to my map, and I knew I should not have done that right before I got on here because something wasn't working the way I wanted it to. But anyway, so you can drill down. Good. You can drill down in these areas, and it will give you, like I said, all the venues. You can select different types of venues, the bars and all of that. And I've built other. You can see the hotspots, the touring hotspots for artists as well in here. I apologize because that's not wanting to work right now, but you can see the touring hotspots. You can also export your tour and you can create a tour poster. You can export your whole tour. You can share it to your calendar. You can, and right now it's only artist side, but I'm starting to work on the venue side of it, to be able to better connect those two. And like I said, I apologize because I knew I shouldn't have done that, but I changed it. And it's popping back to the landing screen. So that's my mistake. I shouldn't have messed with it right before, but.
No worries. And that's part of the game, like part of the learning experience. Sometimes bugs happen and things like that. But I think, for serving the audience you're trying to serve, and I know you couldn't quite zoom in on that map the way you wanted to, but one of the cool things for me as a developer that, I didn't even really know was possible. Like one, it's hard to integrate with Google Maps, but when she zoomed in the class specifically, I remember it popped, like I was like, oh, she has like a pin on like a coffee shop. But when she zoomed in, it actually showed all of the options that were within her parameters for things that these people could go tour at in one specific city. And I thought that was very awesome on your map.
And they can put in there, because it has a matching. So you can put in there that, your genre, what kind of money you want to make. And if all this information on the profile side for the artist or for the venue, and it starts matching, if a venue puts in there that they like Americana artists and bluegrass, it will match the venues better to you based on your profile information as well. So that's kind of cool, I thought. But I already have about 70 people on it using it, 70 artists, and I'm getting feedback, and I just keep making updates as they make recommendations and suggestions. And that's what I did today because I thought, oh, that will be cool to do that. And I tested it right before I got on there and it worked. And now, of course, it isn't. So I apologize for that.
No worries. No worries. Well, and all of these sites, we will send the recording out. So all of these sites you guys are more than welcome to go to. I think maybe Charities is not public because she's on a third iteration. But, if you have questions about one of these platforms or excited, feel free to reach out to us about that. Was there anything else in yours that you're wanting to share, Sean?
No, not really. But like I said, I've just reached out to the artists that I know and have them on it for now. And I just integrated it with Stripe as well and starting to set up a paywall and get all of that set up. And that's interesting to figure all of that out. But again, had we not taken this prompt to solution class or whatever, I would have never thought that I could do this myself. And without any tech background at all, like I said, other than using a computer all day long, I mean, it's amazing and I love it. It's addictive. Mm-hmm. I've created like 4 websites and I just keep doing stuff and I need to stop.
Yeah, it's fun too because like you can create an application like this, which is the hardest thing you can do, or you can create something that solves a quick problem at a workplace or things of these nature, things in line with that. And so it kind of really opens up the door. So we're going to jump into just a couple more questions. Thank you for sharing all of that, Sean. just kind of some wrap up questions, and then we'll kind of talk through some of the options. Just before I do this, in case I forget, when 1 o'clock rolls around in 3 minutes, if somebody has to leave, feel free. We will email out the recordings, and some of those options we'll clarify at the very end. So just so everybody knows. So thank you all for sharing. I think that's pretty cool. I think everybody can see that there is definitely a level of development that somebody with limited technical experience did not have 2 or 3 years ago. And I think one thing that I believe all three of you guys have continued developing since the class. I saw a lot of changes on all of your platforms, and the fact that you guys have other platforms in there beyond that, I think that really showcases the addictive nature, like Sean just said, but also just the possibilities. And once you have this skill set, you can do it for anybody, or you could share it with somebody else, and then they could do the same thing. And there's just so many opportunities with it. So what I want to kind of go into here as we're wrapping up. So someone watching today has an idea they've been sitting on, somebody in the audience, maybe they're not technical. What's the one thing each of you would tell them? If you can start for us, Jessica.
Sure. You don't have to be technical. You just have to have an idea and then do some research using an AI tool like ChatGPT or Claude to help you do some research, like using it as a research assistant, and just start from there. Just start with an idea. Tell it, I have an idea of a better idea. I want to build an app. Here's my starting point ideas, but I don't really know exactly what I want to do or how I want to build it. Help me to formulate and come up with an application platform plan. And it'll give you all kinds of suggestions. And so real quickly, there's an application called suno.com that I'm a musician myself, when I first heard about it and tried it, and it spit out a full band with lyrics and a music video and harmonies and vocals and a full band, I was shocked and didn't like it at first because I thought, what's going to happen with human musicians if an AI agent can sing and play guitar and have a solo and create lyrics in a matter of seconds? But honestly, the more that I played around with it, it unlocks your creativity. And so AI is a tool and it's going to unlock creativity. And Sean just mentioned it, it's addicting. And so that's all you got to do is have an idea and then engage using AI as your assistant, like talk to it about it and then just try it.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's exactly, you just have to go out there and try things in the AI world. There's so many tools even beyond this class. So just being enabled and trying things kind of opens the door to so many possibilities. So, and then Charity, for you, if you can follow up kind of somewhat for anyone watching today, if they have an idea they've been sitting on and they're not technical, what's one thing you would tell
If you're not technical, I would tell you to try Lovable or Base or Replit or something where you can describe what you want, and it's going to immediately put out a UI that you can look at and feel and touch and be a part of. Because a lot of times it's a great place to brainstorm. And if you try going through processes that are more dev centered, like a Claude Code, and then install all these tools and utilities, it'll be really overwhelming. But I think when I went to the prompt to product, just being able to open up something, type it in, and then something happened. I think, Garrett, I think when you typed in, hey, build a Mario game during that class, and I saw the result come out, the enthusiasm for me was way up there. The motivation really happened after that, and I was super excited to get engaged. So my take is you should open up one of those. You should type in it and see what comes back. And once you've done that, you should be able to feel much more enabled. And you should also definitely take the class, because once you've taken the class, after you've played around a little bit, you're going to realize you need the class to get you from point A to point B in a well-defined way.
Yeah, and I just want to piggyback on that before I let Sean go. When she says take the class, she didn't really say it, but she was kind of leaning into, when you take the class, it kind of fills in those holes that you might not know exist. And then there's holes, even for people like us that created the class, that these girls kind of frontlined, and I got to see their experience. And also there's multiple classes since then that's all that experience is built into the current class. So we have an application that helps you guys build it, that helps you guys stay in line and kind of helps fill in not only the software engineering gaps, but the gaps that founders that came before the next generation of founders have experienced. So I think that's a good way to think about it. And then Sean, for you, if you can follow up, kind of for anyone watching today, if they have an idea they've been sitting on and they're not technical, what's the one thing that you would tell them to help?
It's kind of the same along with the other two ladies. It's just, I would go back and forth between Chat GPT and I went ahead and got Claude as well, just because they're so different in what they give you, and Chat GPT likes to hallucinate every once in a while. So I would put it in both and try to figure out the best way for me to do it and get the best prompt and drop it into Replit. And Replit has been, I'm not familiar with Lovable. I've never used that, but Replit has been amazing. And, so, I get a little frustrated every once in a while because it doesn't exactly do what you tell it to, just like a spouse.
Yeah. It definitely happens.
But it's great. I mean, like I said, it's addictive, and I could sit and do this all day long, but unfortunately I have to work.
Yeah. Until you retire on your own, right?
Yes,
So,
exactly. That's the hope.
okay. Well, I think I'm going to end the questions there, and I want to just tell a little bit about what we offer, and then we'll open up Q&A for anybody that has any questions. I see some have dropped in the chat as we've went along. So, here at Codefi, we have multiple options. I know Sean shared that she went through Traction Studio. Traction Studio is a way to kind of help plan out your applications and validate the idea. I would always suggest taking this right now. In Missouri, we have a grant that allows us to give that experience to people. So it is a tedious process, but it's what's required to really plan out a good business. If you go through Traction Studio and then you go through Prompt to Product, that would be it, or Prompt to Solution, as we're kind of renaming into that category. Traction Studio kind of gets that planning. Prompt to Solution is kind of that building experience and getting your project ready to be put in front of people, like Charity kind of talked about. And then we also have, something called Dev Studio, which is more or less we are the ones that are going to take on the building process. If you listen to all this and you're like, yeah, that's not for me, I don't want to build it, I'd rather just pay somebody to build it. That door is also available for anybody that was interested. And you can always just reach out to us, and it's not like we would be able to talk through what is the best option for you guys as well, based on your situation, because everybody has different ideas and situations, some that link up better with other ones. So those are some of the options that we have going forward from here. If anybody's coming to Intro to Vibe Coding, you'll get to see some of this live. They probably won't be as expansive as some of the apps you guys saw today, but you guys get to see some more of that raw experience and kind of some of the technologies that lead into it. And then other than that, I'm going to open it up for Q&A. If anybody has any questions for myself or any of these ladies in particular, you're more than welcome to unmute your mic, and I'll look through chat right afterwards if nobody has any. Anybody? Okay, I know I saw particular in the chat we had somebody had made the suggestion for WordPress for modern business innovations, Base 44 and Replit AI. Very good. As far as some of the platforms you guys can build on if you're non-technical.
I do want to comment a little bit. I know because I come from the development side, I know when I got started, there was a long conversation between the engineer and I on which one to use, on which tool set to use. We ended up landing on whatever makes it easier for me. With the idea that you can lean on someone. If you end up selling something out of this and it becomes something you're going to resell over and over and over again, you really actually need quite a few users before you need to worry about architectural things. And, there are people like Codify, there are people like your own engineers who can come in and do that. But unless you can prove that it's going to be purchased like over and over and over again, it's not really worth an investment for us, for me to learn tooling I didn't understand or had difficulty doing.
Yeah, that's super good. I've noticed this personally. There are tools for developers like Claude Code. There's tools kind of in between like Codex, and then there are tools that are vibe coding tools that maybe don't have the same level of accessibility. And then to me personally, yes, it may cost a little bit more, but Replit is filling in more of the gaps. Codify is filling in some of the gaps in between, and all of those leads you to having a better opportunity to get your idea out there, versus trying to go through a dev option. If you don't have that experience, it becomes a little bit more difficult. So I'm very much in agreement with that. And then Joanna, I think I saw your hand was raised. So did you have something?
So I was just trying to clarify as far as the training is concerned. Is this an in-person in Cape Shore, Missouri opportunity only? And can you kind of give us a little bit of the expectation for the process available for the grant for the program as well, please and thank you.
So for Traction Studio, I'm not personally on that team, but right now they have, I'm pretty sure that the first project you guys make on there would be covered if you're inside of Missouri. If you're outside of Missouri, I don't have the exact price right now, but you're more than welcome to reach out to either of those emails. And then for the prompt to product class that is kind of changing into prompt to solution, prompt to solution is adding another aspect to that class in particular. And that will be rolling out in the fall with live sessions. For the prompt to product or prompt to solution that you currently can take, it is a on-demand only until that new class rolls out. And that is because we're basically updating curriculum, as well as adding in something else we think that will be very beneficial to people in business to kind of, say you identify a problem in your business and then you have to build a solution that's maybe not an entire application. You'll also be able to learn that in that fall cohort.
Okay, so it is
As far as go ahead.
you said on demand, so that is just online. It's not like physical presence now.
Right, yes. So the current one, prompt to product, that these ladies took is on demand, so it's still up to date. And that class would be $200 for an on-demand one. That one is not covered by any grants or anything like that. But that option is open, or you guys can wait until prompt to solution comes out. That would be option 2.0. But in this prompt to product class, we're running a coupon code for 2 weeks for that $200. Normally it's more expensive,
Okay.
On demand.
So-
But you can do everything through there if you're interested in that.
Okay, that's what I want.
And
In the second,
and we'll send out the communication of all of this in an email. So just be watching out for your all's emails, and you can see what you're interested in.
okay,
So
so it'll break down what is applicable accordingly. Thank you for that.
you're welcome. Did I answer your second question?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Does it tell you exactly what the grant would cover if you apply? That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll try to say in Missouri or outside of Missouri. Are you
Kansas
outside of
City.
Missouri?
I'm on the I'm in
okay.
Kansas.
Oh, just
in
barely.
the KC metro area. So right over the line.
Well, you just come across into Kansas City, right in Missouri, and then
I'm over there all the
I can't say that.
Well, I have
okay,
friends
okay.
in Missouri. If I need to use an address, I'm asking specifically because I'm not really technically in Missouri, so I want to know if I'm eligible still, and how.
Yeah. And for prompt to product, like the class that we're mainly referencing in here, that would be the same for everybody right now. Would be that $200.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
And that's just for these next 2 weeks. So, and that'll have I'll have office hours and things of that nature where you guys can drop in if you have questions, and we'll have a community Discord for everybody to communicate in. So there'll still be a community and everything. It's not like you're going to be isolated. And that's why we're putting that 2-week coupon, because we like for everybody to get started. That way everybody's in the same, it's more fun when you're with other people. As you can probably tell, all of these ladies,
Okay.
had fun in the same class. So.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions that we can answer? Anything? Okay. Well, thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you all for sharing your projects. I'm happy to see the progress or the hidden progress of the third iteration coming soon. So that's very exciting, and thanks again for coming and sharing.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.